So this video, we're going to do a weekly challenge number 3. The challenge itself is should be straightforward, but the way the data, the final answer is represented is a bit confusing. So let's have a look at our input data. What we have some kind of column, so some kind of category column, year, month, which is fine. Then you have a bunch of metrics. So for the metrics, that does quite typically happen in real world. For example, you get a lot of acronym depends on the business case, may not mean anything to the people not working on the subject. If we're looking through down, if you see the browser left hand side, category mostly 72, so everybody's good. Because we're looking at months, so you're looking for the yearly data times 12, so probably 6 years of data. Everything seems, I guess, 12. That's good, so we don't have missing rows on that sense. Yeah, yes, indeed, 6 rows equal number. That's good. Unique months is fine, probably 12, I would say. Then the metrics. Turns out, if you scroll data, there is sometimes some missing data. So that's what in the text you're looking for. What we're trying to do is a moving average calculation. So 6 months or 3 months and 6 months moving average calculations. For those things, we can see if there's missing in a hint, if there's missing data, you're looking for the closest valid row. So you're basically looking one row backwards. Because we're missing rows, we're probably looking at multi-row formula, trying to go backwards instead. The rest, if you scroll through, will be very similar. The output, I cached it. If people do download the workflow itself, try to run it, it turns out it does take forever to run. They changed things nowadays. In the past, they still use text input. Because this has, well, as you can see, it crashed my screen. Because they have so many rows, almost 26,000 rows in text input. If you save as a single Excel file, it's very fast to read. On the other hand, if you actually save it as a text input, it takes a ridiculous amount of time. So regarding this, I guess I'll probably need to just pause the video when this thing starts to respond. Okay, let's continue. We still have a lot of data. The data is pivoted, so record ID, that's fine. It's a bit annoying the way they did the final answer. Probably not the best way to go for it. So the idea we try to achieve is for each year, for each category, each year, each month, we're probably going to have 12 rows of data. So zoom in a bit. Among other things, they probably should make a label regarding to, I think probably here, we're looking for above probably the 3 months moving average. The one below probably is a 6 months moving average. Let's just match number querying, CLK 98, NLP, probably like that. I think that's probably the intended results. They are probably not doing a best job removing some unnecessary rows. Anyway, let's try to follow the gesture, the intention for the question to proceed. So looking at input, the first thing we probably need to handle is the missing values. So the missing values, we probably you can see maybe the time hasn't exceeded, but then you're running the data up to 2024 June. July haven't happened. That's why you're missing data. So that's sometimes you try to estimate it. Other case, maybe the product may be discounted, the service is stopped. That's why you have no more data. There may be various reasons for missing data, and you need to be prepared how to handle that. Just quickly show multi-row formula. Multi-row formula is the one you use to pad out what's the missing row above. But for us, you can see we do have 6 rows missing. So you have two choices. One is we can pad out the rows. So basically, you want to do almost multi-row 6 times. So it's 6 rows. It's doable manually so far, because you can if you do finish the first one, you just change a different drop down column. So we just need to select a different column in the top. The rest formula should be more able to repeat the logic. Otherwise, let's try to go a different route. For me, if I have those a lot of dates, what I try to do is I'll probably try to pivot the data instead. So let's remove this material formula. Want to pivot data. So at the moment it's a wide, so you have 6 columns. So we want a wide to long, so that's a transpose. Keep other fields as it is. So we're going to say, okay, for each category, each year, each month, we're going to keep it as it is. Else the metric, let them just proceed. So we're going to get a lot of data. We'll probably take some time to scroll. Yes. So you can see list or the name value pair makes things easier to filter to handle. Because we try to handle the missing values, that means you got to keep track every single metric. We probably want to rearrange our data. So let me use a sort. I want to group all the same metric in one go. So category, I guess, is the main one, except for a metric. So for example, name, let's do that. Then for that row, for each year, for each month, I want my things sorted. So it's just about change the order of granularity. Yeah, so probably that's something like that. The reason we try to do this is we can just use a single material later to handle the missing value. So you can see in the view, probably zoom in a bit. We have category that's fine. Then you follow historical, the dates by year, by month. For one metric only, we can start to fill in the missing row. Once you fill the missing row, then the running total, moving average is easy to calculate as well. So that said, let's actually fill the missing value first. We have a single motif row formula, should be able to proceed. So we're going to update is the values. I think everything is a string. Yeah, oh, the value. So everything is double. That's good. Make life easier. Let's probably just move to one of the transition states. Uh, yeah, we have some kind of transition. That's fine. Just like what we did for the pivoting on top, we can see you have a group by options. So those are things we want to keep things consistent. We want to keep it as almost like a batch process. Yes, for each group we want, for each year, for each month we don't care. It's a name, so we want a metric we care. Year and month because it's already sorted. They are in ascending order. We don't need to group by anymore because if say you have 2025, January is missing, you do want to go back to 2020. Sorry, 2024 December, so the previous year month. So logic, because it's null value, so maybe easier to use value doesn't exist as null. We probably just a simple if statement should be fine because logic is if we're looking at our current row value, probably need a wrapper, it's null. If the current value is null, then go back to the last valid value. So we're going to go backstage. Else, if it's not null, current value is fine. So we're looking at, for example, 13, 139 on the workflow to see how that value is padded out. 139. So previously, 138, 478 is the last value you have. I think did I pad out too many? So you have 5 IM 2014 6. They changed the sort on that. That's 5 IM. Let's filter a bit. So the data 2014 2014 oh well, they did divergence. Let's actually filter out the data a bit. So we're looking for, I do think the answer should be fine, but since we're here, maybe I'll just show how I would troubleshoot a bit on other things. Mhm. We can copy paste the strings, the condition we're looking for. Okay. So what we're looking for is, I'm already looking for the rows that's part out correctly. So category equals my string. I'm less. We have data from 2014 6, so we can just say, and the year component should be 2014. Year is a string field. Yeah, year is integer, so we don't need the quotation. 2016. That should be fine. More than the rest. Let's just run the workflow. Mhm. What did I miss? 138. So that's field. Oh, sorry, 2014. 2014. We need a name to be this. 14 and the name equals. Yes, final get data 6. Yeah. So you can see we have 248. Zoom in. So we have a 248 as the last available row from uh, 6. So it's June. Say on the July, we're looking 1 month back. August, we're looking 1 month back to July, etc. So everything else below will be 4, 7, 8. Once you always be careful because we have multi-row formula, the order matters. So make sure you do have some kind of sorting just to be consistent. Particularly with the latest, you have AMP engine that may, without sorting, that may mess up the results. Okay, that's good. We have auto value done. Then we can start to actually calculate the moving average. What we're looking for is, running average. So we're looking for 3 months and 6 months running average. For those, once again, we have a two choice. We could say use multi-row. Let me just drag and for it. Mhm. We can create a file, whatever. So the idea is number of rows. You can increase the number within the two configuration 6. So you can, for the first 3 months running average, you can do just last 3. For the last 6, you can include up to 6. Then run the calculation. 3 is probably doable with this method. 6 doable, so may feeling a bit repetitive. Another way potentially could, I was thinking you can do is either you do a record ID or you can use tiles too. It's kind of like a behave as a group by. So for each results, you can give increasing ID. Then when you apply for the moving average in the multi-row formula, rather than say click row -1, row -2, row -3, you can probably just use any rows less. That may be another way to go. But for us, yeah, I'm a bit too lazy for that. I'll probably just do by hand. But the final results, they do not give a very good name indication of it. Let's probably do our manual by ourselves. So we can create a separate field. So 3 months, let's say we're looking for moving average, running average. Yeah, it's like moving average. Yeah, AGE, let's say 3 months. For the first one, 3 months, let's do 3. When you do moving average, it's also a bit tricky to handle the starting values. So first, for the sake of completeness, rather than use now, we're probably going to just use 0 for the moment. So you're looking for each row. what you want to do, you want to find the average of one, two. Oh, so we don't need a three actually. We need the average of the current row for value. I'm looking for one minus. I'm looking for two minus. So average of three things. Let's check the results to see if it makes sense. If go to the very top, let's not worry about first two because looking back towards the previous row, which doesn't exist, given the definition, we treat as zero. So maybe the third row make a bit more sense. What we're going to get is average of those three values. So if I do my mental math quickly, 50, so you have 152 divided by 3, saying 153 divided by 3 will give 51. 52, you probably 51.3, because I think we use the integer, the data is rounded down. For the next row, 46, we're probably looking for the moving average of those guys. Mass, you get basically 4, 12, 20 divided by 3, you get 6.6. So you should get 46.6, okay. Roughly, you probably need to check the decimals, but the idea is as such. That's done. Let's copy one more. Because we already done the minus 3 months, so we can just add a few more rows. We can call, let's change the number first. So we're looking for 6 month moving average. Minus 2, we have minus 3, minus 4, and minus 5. Close the bracket. That should give an additional column for the moving average. For example, in that case, we need a 6 months average. That means we will have is for the 70, we should have an average. Let's actually copy selected with a header. Do a quick mental check on the side. So let's learn one more tool regarding the Alteryx. The tool is running total. Oops. Hopefully it doesn't crash on me. Let me just pause the video for the moment until it responds. Oh, it does actually. Oh, yeah, because I recorded. Oh, that's a big mistake. We're gonna select the cells with header. So you can see if you go on have too many rows in text column, usually it slows down quite a lot. Sometimes it does potentially crash your Alteryx instance. Quickly, we'll probably do we do have a running total. No, what is running total? We don't need to worry anything about group by. We just care about the values. So we're gonna basically sum the 6 values. The last one is the one we want. 324 divided by 6, you get 54, and that should correspond to the moving for 54. You could check other things for different steps. We proceed regarding to the workflow. Now, with those things done, technically with the data set, what it did is, I think, yeah, so they probably did it is record IDs for each metrics, then you're looking for the year month combinations. But I don't think it's going to be useful for the data set when you finally play with. Let's just do a little bit of what they intend to do. Say what they're looking for to like pivot along. I don't understand why they want to do it, but we can do something. We have white format, one pivot long, so white too long. For them seems to they want for each metric, so it's probably name, then each year, each month, they want to pivot everything else. We don't care about value. What we calculate moving average. Not entirely sure why they want to keep the category in the value column. Probably just a little bit short to make a bit. Mm, Yeah, it's not easy to be. Let's keep a value as in the group button. So we're gonna have IM year, months. Category we don't care. So name two the column we care. For query names, we probably want to shift. Okay, let's actually do names, and we'll probably in each category, each name, make it easier to understand what the data is. So this, still, let me actually move the name two column upwards. So I think this is what I intended for the final answer. So for each category, for each metric, we should have the 3 months moving averages going over the time period. If we see the next batch, if we scroll down, then yes, we're probably coming towards the 6 months values. Some of the values, ooh, gotta be careful with those things. That's the duplication values. So this shouldn't represent a huge value because all of numbers small. Okay, so let's troubleshoot. Usually that value comes from concatenation. We may need a bit more. Ooh, what's wrong with this thing? 10M 2019. Let's do filter. So once again, we diverge off to learn a little bit more outside this challenge. So we're looking for category equals 10M and year equals 2009. And so the month we don't care. We have this particular name and you have duplicate values. Let's see what the issue is. We have a 10 RM, year 2009, value POK. Why do we have three values? So this is month one. Okay, so we do have multiple values for the IM field. We can trace back to the input dataset to see what the issue is. So while IM column, year column is still there, name column is not. So the name column will be pivoted. We can do a select. So it's PLK. No, probably don't need that. Probably just filters suffice. Okay. Adding integers. Yeah, actually. So there's no column due to concatenation. It's literally just big numbers. PO query. So rather than concatenations, you do have a million values for the RM value, which is huge. So you have values, you have values. So this is 3 months moving average. Hmm, okay, that's tricky. Months of that. We're looking for 2009 C1K. So far end 2009, you have the month C1K should be very small values. Why do they go? Maybe group by. Yes. So that's how learn from sensor check. Group by. Can you choose it? How do you select the group by field? In that case, because you're looking for at the row level, even though you may go to a new metric, it's still looking back to do the average for the previous metric. That's not what we intended. For each category and for each name, so each metric, we want to do their own grouping. Here, name. Hopefully, they should give you more sensible values. Yeah, more large, so the numbers become more sensible. So even for large value, D1K, that's in the same columns, etc., etc. Good. Uh, so according to the description of the question, I think that's their intended results. What we try to achieve is we try to use multi-row formula to do both filling the missing value and to do the moving average calculations. Of course, you can do a lot more rows to do individual column, but when the number of metrics increase substantially, sometimes you may have 10, 20, or even 100, it became less feasible to manually do for each column. You could wrap a macro, but more performant way maybe pivot your data into the better format. In the video, we also intentionally to show some other ways I would run to debug my workflow and sense check the data. So hopefully there's something you can learn from it as well. Thank you.